I gotta say, I didn't hate it. Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Star Wars Expanded Universe. Now redone by Disney, or current Lucasfilm, or both. However, which way you want to think about it. Legends. Today, we are reviewing the Castella trilogy. It's not actually a trilogy, but since it has the same characters kind of in all three of these upcoming novels, it's considered the Castella trilogy. But today we have Children of the Jedi by Barbara Hamley. Now, this book, this entire trilogy, gets a lot of hate. Now, did I love this book? No. In fact, there was one point where I was going through it, and I mean, it might have also something to do with it being, like halfway through the day and it's really hot over here in Southern California, but I found myself almost falling asleep, and then I realized what was happening. I was like, oh, get back to it, But I didn't hate it. People hate this book. I didn't. But I like it, but I don't love it. It would never be on a top 10 anything. But it's not bad. I've read worse. So, non-spoiler. So this is sometime, 8 years into it, or 10 years, or whatever it is, after the Battle of Endor. Luke is at some event with Leia and Han. The kids aren't mentioned at all in this. Luke has two students with him who are a couple, I guess. They're in love with each other. However, they're not exactly, because the boyfriend, whose name eludes me at the moment. Do I have a note? Fudge. Nico's. So it's really weird, because he was apparently about to die, and instead of letting him die, he used stuff from Truce Pecora, that novel that I reviewed a while back. They used that technology to transfer his Force essence, into this robot. So now he's alive. But anyway, it's him and his girlfriend, what's her name? Cray. I'm trying to see here. What's her name? Yeah, it's Cray. That's her name. And so they're a couple. Han and Leia have a separate thing going on. They have their own little adventures. Luke and his students find out about this old dreadnought. It's not like a super weapon or anything, but it's still a relatively powerful ship. It's more powerful than the average ship, so it can be considered a super weapon, but it's not. It's not like another Death Star. It's just a ship that's more powerful than most of them. And it's going to get destroyed in this book too. So another thing you could use against Yu Song, but not anymore. I'm really excited to get to New Jedi Order. It's going to be a while before we get to that, but when we do, things are going to get crazy. But this is still non-spoiler. They find out that the ship is controlled by an AI named Callista. It wasn't always an AI. It was a Jedi who transferred its soul essence into the ship. I know, weird. I'll defend that later. But, yeah. And will Luke be able to stop the ship with the help of this AI? It's kind of the whole thing. There's a big reason why people hate that thing. But we'll get to it in spoilers. So that's a general synopsis. I don't know how good that is of an explanation. But, oh my goodness, it's hot. But now I'm gonna get into spoilers. If it sounds interesting to you at all, check it out. I don't think it's horrible. However, I'm in the minority here. I mean, an even bigger minority would be to like this book, which, like Matt Wilkins, for example, likes this book, like, loves it. I know a good majority hate it, so take that with what you will. I don't have the same opinion as most people. So maybe check out some other reviews if you feel like you're just like, just from other reviews look like it's bad, then don't do it. But for those of you who are still sticking around and are like, what is this book about? Or you just want to know a little bit more, we're going to get into spoilers. And those for you who do know about this book and like it, let me know in the comment section below why. And for those of you who hate this book, you're about to see why I disagree with you. And also, I would love to know your thoughts. I mean, I've heard a lot of the complaints, but if you feel like you have a unique position or you just want to rant, feel free. Anyway, Children of the Jedi. So what I noticed at the very beginning is Luke is freaking awesome. He's truly become that Jedi master. He's not even a Jedi Knight. He is Yoda at this point. Like, he's not. He still has a lot to go before he's like OP like Yoda, but he is a master. It's clearly shown in the beginning, which is why they're gonna have to constantly hurt him in this book to make an excuse for why he can't just do everything. Because that was a big problem in this era of Star Wars novels, because Luke's the Grand Master, and how do you stop a Grand Master from doing a lot of things? Well, you take him out of the picture or you injure him so he can't be as powerful. So that's what they did. I already mentioned how Luke's students are a couple. I wanted to talk about this error. So apparently they fixed this somewhere, where they talked about how there was different star dates being used, like the Empire changed the star date. So since they messed with time, and now since they have a new perception of time, everything takes place 30 years, or there's a 30-year gap between this and the prequels. However, when George Lucas finally made the prequels, it was only like 20 years apart. So what's the deal? Well, the retcon to fix that contradiction is that they're using a different star date, but I guess that's going to get fixed in New Jedi Order, because by that point, the prequels are out, so they knew that. But, to be fair, it is, if you're going to make that a problem with this book, then it's a problem with Timothy Zahn's books as well, because at the time, George Lucas wasn't planning on making, or maybe he was, but he didn't know anything yet. He didn't have anything set in stone. So he told everyone, and every comic book writer, although I don't think there were many comic books being made at this time, every author that the Clone Wars happened over 30 years ago. So that's what they all wrote, but it's just wrong, because he retconned it himself later. So, yeah. But again, there's a problem in Timothy Zahn's novels as well. So if you're going to blame that, you can't, if you're going to blame this, you have to blame Timothy Zahn's novels. No one wants to do that because they see it as gospel. Yeah, because they want to, they want to do that to Timothy Zahn. Timothy Zahn is an excellent writer, don't get me wrong, but people are, like, really on his butt. It's kind of annoying. Like, if you ever heard of Anomaly Inc., he's like the prequel defender, alright? He had this one live stream where he was responding to Armored Skeptic, or Armored Media, and there was this girl that was on there. She's like, if you read anything in the EU, make sure you read Timothy Zahn's novels. Timothy Zahn's novels, like, yes, they're good, but, like, there are other novels that are good, too. And she dissed on Darth Plagueis. Nah, that's still my favorite. That and Darth Bane, nothing's beating it. Not even Timothy Zahn's novels. Get out of here. Anyway, they're talking Jawas. I was kind of confused. That's a whole thing. There's, like, Gamorreans and Jawas and stuff that think they're, like, stormtroopers for some reason. It's kind of funny, but it's weird. There's a line that Han has at a certain point. It's just a little thing. There's not really anything to add to the story, but you gotta remember that there's a 10-year age gap between Han Solo and Princess Leia. So Princess Leia and Luke are in their, their 30s right now. Um, while Han is pushing 40, so he's getting a bit older now. So, and unlike Luke and Leia, because the thing is, remember, Yoda was like 900 years old and he was still doing flips and tricks and all that stuff because he had the Force. Han's just a completely normal guy, so he's feeling his age about now. And he just says, like, to Chewie, like, I'm getting too old for this. And Chewie's like, yeah. Mara Jade is with Lando, so Timothy Zahn was pissed because I think there was always an intention that Luke and her would get together. So the fact that because it's not explicitly said, but it's implied that they slept together. And I don't know about you, but I feel like Lando, and I'm on Matt Wilkins' side with this, I feel like Lando and Mara Jade would work well together. I think that would be a good partnership. Now, I believe it's in a different novel where she'll explicitly say oh, that was just business. But honestly, headcanon wise, I'd prefer if she did, and then only later on just said that because she wanted to be with Luke or whatever. Because it's okay to have exes before you meet the one. Now Luke's exes just tend to be weird. This book being one of them, but I think this is still handled much better than Dark Empire, where it's just like out of the blue completely. You gotta remember, Luke is pushing 30, and he still hasn't found true love. His sister has, he hasn't. Being Grand Master of the Jedi has to be a little stressful. So I don't blame him. Apparently the Emperor had concubines, that was a bad part of the book. Not because I can't see him doing that, but I don't want to imagine someone having sex with Palpatine, because that's gross. It's just gross. Bad on you, Barba, for getting that in my head. But yeah, as I mentioned, her name's, what was it, Castella, something like that, yeah. The Castella trilogy. She puts her souls in the AI defense, which, actually I'll wait till later. The big thing. Mara finds out she wasn't the only hand, which Thrawn alluded to, but he never said explicitly. So I hear a lot of people bash on this, like this is a point against the book, because she's like, well, they're like, didn't Thrawn already say that in the Thrawn trilogy? No, he implied it, but he never said it explicitly. Because she's talking about how she was always important to the Emperor, and how she was his hand, number one, his best servant or whatever. And I don't remember the exact words he says, but it's like, do you really believe that you were the only one, or something like that? But in nowhere does he explicitly say, no, there were a bunch of them. So I feel like people that use that as a diss against this book, get out of here. Like I said, this book's weird, but it's not awful. And it's good to have a break from the whole Imperial thing, because that's all it's been. We've been dealing with the Imperials, we'll be dealing with them up until the Thrawn duology. It'll be like the last time we deal with that. Actually, that's not true. That's the Union comic book where Mara Jade and Luke get married. But other than that, we're done after that with the Imperials versus the New Republic. But just people get mad over stupid things, and it's not even a valid complaint. So near the end of the book, Nikos admits that he's nothing more than a droid, and so Nikos and Krei sacrifice themselves. Technically, Callista too, because she's planning on killing herself because she's the ship, and so the couple is going to become one with the Force. However, when all is said and done, we think that it's all over, but then we find a distress signal, and it's Cray. Except it isn't. It's Callista. Now here's the thing. I'm okay with this romance. The only problem is that I think it's really freaking gross. Because what you essentially have is a dead person's body being inhabited by someone from long ago, which is kind of weird. Now, if you're going to say, well, this doesn't make sense, well, how did this happen? I literally just finished Jedi Academy, the video game. Marco Ragnos literally just tried to put himself inside a woman at the end of that game. He did that. And it's happened other times too. So that complaint is not valid. But the difference with that Sith Lord was that he was too powerful. The body couldn't contain it. Callista seemingly was probably just a normal type of Jedi. Wasn't super powerful, wasn't super weak. So the body can maintain it. The only weird part of all this is, and the only thing that's, it's not even inconsistent, just weird, is the fact that it's a dead body that is in love with Luke. And Luke is in love with it. That's the only thing. That's just weird for me. It's hard for me to get past. And lastly, Callista finds out that she can't use the Force, but Luke's going to help try to get her to have it again. And that's where the book ends. Next book we have is Dark Saber, written by Kevin J. Anderson, like the Jedi Academy trilogy. I'm actually looking forward to it. Was this the best book of Star Wars I've read? No. Is it the worst one I've read? No, that would still be Choices of One, the most boring book I've ever read. Yeah, I said it, and I'm going to stick to it. Choices of Allegiance is like 50-50, so I can't say that to Allegiance. But Choices of One by Timothy Zahn is one of the most boring books I've ever had to sit through. I was checking my freaking clock every 2 seconds. That book is boring. Sorry. It just is. It just is. And I definitely would prefer reading this again over that book. But, you know, I like the EU, so I'm going to read all the good and the bad. So, would I recommend this if you want to see something a bit different? Yes, if you don't mind the weirdness of it, then go ahead. Otherwise, like many other people do, it's a skip. Although there are some characters like Eirik, or Eric, who will be people that show up in New Jedi Order, so you might want to read this just for continuity's sake. But that's all the time I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, turn it up a ton, and I'll see you in Dark Saber. Now, I don't know if this is completely related to all the other stuff, but I do have a funny thumbnail that I'm going to use for it regardless. I believe it does have to do with that, but I could be wrong. We'll see. Anyway, I'll discuss that more. You're kind of confused. There's a saber that's used by the Mandalorians in the Clone Wars and in KOTOR, and is in that most recent Mandalorian show or whatever. I don't know if the book is related to it. I don't know if the book started that, but we'll find out together next time. Anyway, it's hot. I'll see you later. Bye.